Welcome back, Helldivers, to another SES history broadcast. The history of Martale is one of blood, sacrifice, and the unwavering spirit of Super Earth's finest. Once a peaceful world, it became the site of one of the most grueling and hard-fought campaigns in our ongoing war against the Automaton menace. Today, we take you through the battles, the gambits, and the heroic operations that shaped this planet's fate. Was Martale's fall inevitable? Could the Helldivers have changed the tides of war sooner? And most importantly, will we hold the ground we fought so hard to reclaim? This is the story of Martale. Martale, one of the 5 planets located within the Andromeda sector, was once known for its picturesque landscapes of rocky hills, large bodies of water, and vast farming lands. Though its serene and peaceful existence was quickly shattered by the onset of war and conflict, setting the stage for a series of ongoing military operations that would determine the fate of the planet as well as prove what a critical site it would become in the ongoing war between Super Earth and the Clanker menace plaguing the Western Front. Before the war, Martale had a relatively quiet existence. The planet hosted large farming communities and research outposts, as well as being a strategically important supply chain route, making it a crucial planet on the Western Front. However, this tranquility would not last. The civilians that inhabited it would soon find themselves swept up by the increased automaton threats and aggressive actions to overtake the SEAF that were protecting Martale at the time. The first major turning point in Martale's history came on April 11, 2184, when the Automatons launched a massive invasion into the sector, taking complete control of the planet. This move shifted Martale from a peaceful colony to a frontline battleground in the war for galactic dominance. The initial invasion was brutal, with Martale's defenses being quickly overwhelmed by the surprise attacks and tenacity of automaton forces. The civilian population and SEAF forces stationed on the planet measured around 450,000 at the time, attempted to resist the onslaught, but the automaton army quickly crippled the planet's ability to defend itself. This initial attack marked the fall of Martale into the hands of the ruthless clankers. The bots then quickly began to set up their own infrastructure and military bases all over the planet, creating strongholds utilizing the rocky terrain to their own strategic advantages. It should be noted that the fate of the civilians that once lived there is unknown at this time, but it can only be assumed that they all met brutal ends at the hands of the socialist bots. The loss of Martale was a massive blow to Super Earth's strategic positioning in the region. The planet had become an essential logistical hub, and its fall disrupted crucial supply lines and communications between other colonies that were now put at major risk. In response to the threat posed by the Automaton's attack plans known as the Reclamation, High Command launched the counter-offensive operation Courageous Defense. While this was before the fall of Martale, the operation continued well past losing the planet to the clankers. At first the liberation was slow, but after successfully securing Marfark during the unofficially named Operation Cassiopeia, traction started to build. Unfortunately, Operation Courageous Defense ultimately ended in failure, with many stating it was largely due to a focus shift to the Eastern Front on April 12, 2148, with the sudden Terminid outbreaks. Nevertheless, the automaton forces held firm, causing Helldivers and SEAF to suffer significant losses while attempting to retake the planet. Despite this setback, some Helldivers refused to give up on Martale. The planet's strategic importance was too great to ignore, and its liberation became a key objective in the broader war to control the Western sector. This led to the development of the Martale Gambit, a high-risk but potentially high-reward military strategy devised by High Command. The Gambit aimed to sever automaton supply lines to Charon Prime, another critical planet under threat by the bots. By retaking Martale, Super Earth forces hoped to deal a crippling blow to the Clanker control and disrupt their expansion operations. The Martale Gambit, though at its core brilliant, faced tremendous challenges. The initial phases of the operation saw some success, with Helldiver squads making significant inroads into automaton-held territory. However, the process of liberating Martale was slow and arduous. Despite repeated attempts to free the planet, each offensive encountered fierce resistance, and regardless of the efforts of our valiant Helldiver forces put forth. It should be noted that at one point, Martale reached 94% liberation, a critical milestone that demonstrated just how close the planet was to being freed from automaton control. But just as the Helldivers were on the verge of success, external pressures and campaigns elsewhere led to a diversion of resources and manpower. Issues of supplies became the straw that broke the camel's back in retaking the planet, and Super Earth was forced to issue a major evacuation order, solidifying the automaton's control of Martale from the democratic embrace of Super Earth. The cycle of near liberation followed by setbacks became a familiar story for Helldiver squads and the planet's remaining SEAF. Despite the tactical brilliance of the Martale Gambit, external factors caused it to fail and become one of the most notorious failures in the Second Galactic War. One of the primary challenges of liberating Martale lies in its geographical and strategic significance. The planet is not just a symbolic battleground, it plays a crucial role in the overall balance of power in the Andromeda sector. From the months of April to July, the bots seemed to maintain complete dominance over the planet, but during that time, they made a crucial mistake. The Automatons confidently launched more expansion campaigns into the Trigon and Valada sectors, successfully capturing more critical planets, but this overextension would become their undoing. During this time, Helldiver forces were successful in securing access to the Peta factory on Virilia 5, Database 1 on Wasat, and the plans for the intergalactic battle station on X-45. With the Terminid threats temporarily culled in the east, High Command once again put its primary focus on retaking the west by issuing a major order to liberate Asa Pass, Marfark, Martale, and Martale. If successful, it would split the overextended bot forces and deliver a massive blow to their control over the Western Front. Officially, the battle to retake Martale started on July 14, 2184, though the initial first days were a slow and arduous process, but in the early morning of July 17th, Helldiver forces found success in liberating Marfark. With frontline Automaton forces becoming more and more isolated, Helldivers from across the galaxy converged onto the surface of Martale and quickly liberated it with ease, avenging all those lost during the Martale Gambit. In the following months, civilians and SEAF slowly resettled on the planet and attempted to repair the damage that had been done to the planet's surface and installations still left intact. But it was during this time that the Automatons gathered their strength and would soon retake what they had lost once again. On October 20th, following the bots' recapture of Martale, utilizing their new potent force known as the Jet Brigade, they then set their eyes on Martale. Despite Helldiver forces doing everything in their power to defend Martale, it once again fell to the Socialist bot threat. This new elite squad continued to overtake worlds in an attempt to locate and destroy the newest weapon in Super Earth's arsenal, the DSS. Helldivers continued to fight back and were eventually successful in destroying the Jet Brigade while engaging them on the planet Marfark on October 22nd. Despite the great blow to the Automaton forces, the planet Martale remained under bot control. However, during the unofficial operations Adamant Resolve and Jet Clipper, the Clankers were forced to pull their troops back to the planet Chuhe, leaving their fortified garrison on Martale completely cut off. This opportunity would not go ignored, as a small number of Helldiver squads quickly took to the planet's surface and began the process of purging it of the Automaton threat. While this process was slow in the coming months, it remained constant as the Helldivers were able to reach 50% liberation by the new year. The battle for Martale continued well into January despite the introduction of the Illuminate. Eventually, the remaining squads of the planet were able to reach 81% liberation, though all of that would soon be put at risk. On January 9th, the Automaton strongholds on the planet Chuhe launched an attack into Martale, sending 10 battalions in an attempt to take the planet and reconnect Martale into the Socialist supply lines, allowing the bots to regain control over the Andromeda sector. With no major orders issued by High Command to protect Martale, the bots easily retook control of the planet, while the Helldiver Corps were focused on re-liberating Akamar 4. With Martale now back under bot control and the supply lines reopened, Martale was once again under attack. It was during this time that Helldiver forces moved their focus back to the eastern sector to manage another Terminid outbreak in the Farsight, Umlaut, and Orion sectors. On January 14th, with the core of Super Earth battling in the east, Martale's liberation fell to 0%, and thus coined the term the Second Martale Blunder, among the Helldivers still attempting to push back against the bots. The remaining forces retreated and gathered their strength while waiting for their moment to strike and retake the planet. Jump forward to February 28th, when Automaton forces would launch an offensive into the Nanos sector, attempting to continue their ever-expanding control over the Western Front. It was at this time High Command issued an order proposing the defense of either Yulheim, a planet hosting a large number of defenseless younglings attending the Good Citizen Andrews School for Moderately Feeble Young Adults, or Dumatir, where critical production facilities in charge of the MD8 gas mines were located. Initial projects stated that the bots would soon engage both of these planets, and only one could realistically be saved. However, Helldiver forces were determined to defend both at the same time, forcing massive defensive positions on Bekvin 3 and Charon Prime. Regardless of those orders, a small number of squads, presumably the ones who remained before, engaged Martale once again in an attempt to cut off Automaton supply lines, but were met with defeat due to the bots capturing Charon Prime on February 26th, forcing Helldivers to converge on Bekvin 3's defense, which at the time was a losing battle. Apparently, at this time, the Automaton's internal internal operations system issued a routine update, temporarily rendering their forces defunct, causing a complete collapse of their ability to properly fight, allowing Helldiver squads to essentially bulldoze the bots at every turn. Shortly after, Super Earth's core found success in repelling the attack on Beckfin 3 and cut off the bots' ability to engage planet Sharbal 7 after the quick liberation of Charon Prime. With momentum on their side, Helldiver squads set their sights once again on Martale and finally retook the planet on March 1st, washing away the blunders from months before and creating a safeguard over the planet for the remainder of the operation. Throughout these ongoing campaigns, the community of Helldivers played an instrumental role in Martale's liberation. Thousands of squads have participated in large-scale operations, working together to fight off the Automaton forces and reclaim the planet. These coordinated campaigns have involved tactical planning, resource management, and fierce combat against overwhelming odds. Martale's history serves as both a symbol of humanity's tenacity in the face of overwhelming odds and the challenges of the galactic war. The repeated failures and near successes on Martale highlight the harsh realities we face with the socialist bots, where victory is never guaranteed and the stakes are often astronomical. For the Helldivers, Martale is more than just another planet to be won or lost. It is a symbol of the spirit of cooperation, courage, and sacrifice. Despite the continuous setbacks, the Helldivers remain committed to the planet's safety. So, where were you for the many battles of Martale? What was your most epic memory of that time? What do you think would have prevented the failure of the Martale Gambit? Be sure to share your thoughts and opinions in the comments section, and always remember, treasonous views or controversial ideas will be immediately reported to the nearest truth officer. You have been warned. On behalf of the Ministry of Truth and High Command, this is the SES signing off.